Hello. I'm studying game development with you guys. In this video, we will learn about Unity's game objects and components. Game objects are the most important concept in the Unity engine and are the most basic unit of object placed in a scene. In a nutshell, everything placed in a scene is a game object, a character or an item that falls on the floor, a building or prop placed in the background, an explosion effect, a light source that illuminates the light, or a camera that captures every scene. And it is a structure in which the role of the game object in the game is determined depending on which component is added to this game object. In short, a game object acts as a container for components that implement functions. Game objects basically have names, tags, and layers, and you can use these to find the object you want later, and so on. A component is a component with various functions that can be attached to a game object. As mentioned earlier, the role of the game object changes depending on which component is attached to the empty game object. For a simple example, let's create an empty game object. Right-click on the hierarchy view and select Create Empty menu. This means creating an empty game object. If you look at the newly created game object, you can see that the transform component is attached to it. You said you were going to create an empty game object, but you may be wondering why the transform component is attached. In the Unity engine, transform components are always attached as default components to all game objects and cannot be removed from game objects. The transform component determines where and how this game object is rotated and positioned at what size in the scene. So, in order to learn how to add a component to a game object, let's attach a camera component to the empty game object we just created and make it a new camera. Select a game object to add a component to and click the Add Component button in the inspector window to see a list of components that can be added to the game object. All you have to do is find and select the component you want to add to your game object. However, it is difficult to quickly find the camera component in the state, so search for camera in the search bar and select it. Then, a camera shape is created in the place of the empty game object, and you can see that the game object has become a camera. In addition to the basic components provided by Unity, developers can create their own components and attach them to game objects. Most systems that do real game functions are built with these custom components and added to game objects. To create a custom component, right-click on the project view and select Create, C# script. This will create a C# script file with the name New Behavior Script. Components created in this way are usually named according to their purpose. For an example of how a custom function is created, double-click the created script to open the script editor. And in the update function, I'll write the code to print a simple log when the spacebar is pressed. Save the code and return to the editor. The component created in this way can be attached to the game object by selecting the game object, clicking the Add Component button, and searching for the name of the component to be added just like any other component. And when you play the game and press the spacebar, the log is output according to the code you wrote. By extending this simple example, you will develop in a way that creates the functions you need for the game in the future. In this video, we learned about Unity's game objects and components. This video was produced with the donate and watching of viewers. It was Vers Game Development YouTube. Thank you.